In 2015, the Jurassic Park franchise rebooted it with Jurassic World. The movie was reviewed pretty favorably by both audiences and critics, and also did really well at the box office. That's pretty typical with Jurassic Park movies. That said, the film, I thought it still suffered from a number of weaknesses and a few really big plot holes I'm going to discuss in this movie review. Now, most were able to be kind of overlooked just because the movie's entertaining, but and also it has terrific CGI and great action scenes. But still, I want to dive into some of these plot holes, some of these questions that really stopped this movie, I thought, from being a terrific movie. First and foremost, probably the worst and dumbest aspect of this movie is this storyline around Owen, played by Chris Pratt, training the velociraptors. To make matters even worse or more ridiculous, is we see a character named Vic, played by Vincent D'Onofrio from Full Metal Jacket. He's this military contractor who thinks velociraptors can be trained and replace soldiers in the next big war. Now, so much of the storyline is not only ridiculously stupid, but it's really not even needed in a movie like this. And it even contradicts itself when we see Vic state, well, there's millions of years of hunting and killing in their genes. But then, if that's the case, why is Owen or Chris Pratt able to tame them and train them? That wouldn't be the case. So this dumb narrative, it's woven into the final sequence of scenes. It becomes even more absurd at the end when the raptors essentially pass on an easy meal, the humans, and go after a dinosaur much larger, the Indominus Rex. Simply stated, wild animals like hungry dinosaurs, they can't be trained and should never be expected to act this way, not even in a movie. Now, moving on to the next big plot hole in the film, and this is around Indominus Rex, her escape, and how the park handles the escape. First off, they say that they put this implant in her when she was born, yet the implant is about a foot big, at least. Maybe it's, not a foot exactly, but it's very large. But this contradicts everything we know about the Jurassic Park franchise. We know she was created in a lab, and even the big dinosaurs, they're not born 10 or 15 feet tall. They're, of course, tiny when they're first born, and this is evidenced by the T-Rex breaking through the egg, and also children riding Brachiosauruses in the kids' park. All this said, the implant must have been put in when she was young, right around the time when they say she killed her sibling. For some reason, though, the humans, they're able to get close to her. None of that really makes much sense. And all this raises the question, too, around, they have these dangerous dinosaurs in the park. They're putting implants, they're tracking them. Why don't they put some sort of kill switch in the dinosaurs if they know they're going to, possibly escape and cause chaos? One would think a park, especially since the first one went down to the dinosaurs escaping, would put in some sort of electronic kill switch. I mean, considering the technology we see in this movie, it really wouldn't be that tough to do or expensive. Now, moving on to the escape, there's just a lot wrong that happened here. First of all, there's all these workers around outside. Why didn't Owen and company go and ask if anyone had seen any sort of dinosaur escape when there's all these people outside working on the where it's inside? They also never actually pick up the tracker outside the park before they head in. The heat signature is missing, but no one questions really the technology. Maybe it's messing up. Maybe the dinosaur's still in there. They just assume that it's gone. Now, after all this happens, of course, we see asset containment, and I just love how this group of 10 men are sent to kill a massive dinosaur, more deadly than a Tyrannosaurus Rex, and they've got these tiny guns. Some actually shoot nets. Wow. Park owners Simon and Claire, they won't allow lethal force because they're concerned about losing $26 million. Seriously? I mean, this is a massive corporation. There's 20,000 people in the park. $26 million is really a drop in the bucket for them. Look at any large pharmaceutical company, any bank company, $26 million. They take losses like that every quarter because they're essentially making so much money. Moving on, as the movie goes on, things are becoming more and more unhinged in the movie as it progresses. And I have to say, I like how the situation escalated and became increasingly more serious. Now, everything appeared to fall apart for the staff when Indominus Rex ran into the aviary. Still, even the scene had some plot holes present. First off, what is the purpose of this aviary? It's miles from the park entrance. It also doesn't appear to be any sort of attraction, yet inside there are just hundreds and hundreds of these winged dinosaurs. So I guess maybe they're raising them there. I'm just not clear about that. One thing I have to point out too is when they escape, these dinosaurs, they fly for miles and they're able to easily pick up people, fly away. And I'm no expert, but being caged like that for so long, they wouldn't have had the physical strength or stamina to do this. I'm sure if they lived in the wild, absolutely they'd be able to do that. But in captivity, that's kind of doubtful. I think they'd be able to do that. Of course, some could argue, look at a lion. Look, what could a lion do if a lion got out? But lions have tons of room to run around. They're not actually built like these pterodactyls are. Well, generally in the movie, switching gears a bit, I thought the two boys the movie centers around were pretty good. There's one other big plot hole I have to point out. When the boys are in that spherical glass ball and the park closes, they're able to drive out of the safe zone. Wouldn't the park notice this or have some controls to ensure these things couldn't escape the perimeter? Of course, the stupidity of the decision really can't be understated as well by the boys. You're in a park with dinosaurs. Why on earth would you think it's okay to go off-road? I mean, it's not like you might run into a Tyrannosaurus Rex, a Spinosaurus, or a Velociraptor or something. Well, I poked a lot of holes in the movie and the writing. I have to say, overall, it was pretty entertaining to watch still. And this is probably because the movie does a good job building suspense around Indominus Rex and just how the park crew is going to stop this essentially invincible predator. I also thought the ending was pretty good too, pitting a Tyrannosaurus Rex, the Velociraptors, and the dinosaur that came out of the water against Indominus and kind of letting everything fight out. Letting the T-Rex and Indominus Rex go at each other was pretty cool to watch too. So the CGI and the action scenes were good in this movie. A lot of it was a little bit ridiculous how it was kind of written in. So in a way, it's kind of sad because I think this movie is probably the third best in the franchise behind the first and second. And it's booted up, a few more. The second and third ones that came out, Jurassic World, Dominion, and the other one, those ones really were not as good as this one. They were definitely a step down, but actually seeing the park running, which we never got to see in the first couple films, that's definitely something. 2 and 3 were more about Isla Sorna, that island, and people just trying to survive on it. And of course, the first one, the park never got up. So it was kind of interesting to see the park up running, how it's ran. It's kind of unbelievable at times where they're saying things like how they're struggling with generating revenue and things like that. I would think that a park like that would never have any sort of issue with driving people in, people seeing these giant, awesome dinosaurs in person. Anyhow, let me know any thoughts, comments you have. Appreciate your time.